Good morning. It's me again. Yes, it's the board. I'm bored teaching. The board's busy teaching us. What we're going to talk about today. Who on earth is Satoshi Nakamoto? Nakamoto. I have to get my tongue around that word. Nobody knows who Satoshi is. Nobody has seen him. Nobody knows what he looks like or who she looks like. Nobody knows anything about. They think they know more or less what his age is, and that is about it. He's totally off the grid. Nobody has spoken to him for quite a long time, for almost 12 years now. Okay, who is he? What is he? What has he done? What has he done for the world? Well, in my opinion, he has probably done the best thing on the internet. He has, in my opinion, he has done the best thing on the internet. He has written a paper, and he has given it to the world to have a look at. And a lot of intelligent guys have picked this paper up, and they've, in actual fact, they've checked it out and they've seen that it works. Now, the reason why it's off the grid is, I believe, because of fear. Okay? Who is Satoshi and what did he invent? What did he give us? What did he give us? Well, if I give you this, it's a little bit of a clue. Okay? That is my address. That's my code for Bitcoin. Yes, that's what he's done. He's invented the Bitcoin. Okay? And with this, I can go and buy, I can sell, I can trade. It's like having my own bank. Now, what does this really mean in sense? What is a Bitcoin? Okay, how can I explain what a Bitcoin is? Well, for me to try and explain, and for anybody to try and explain to us what a Bitcoin is, we've got to go back quite a few years back to when there was still a telex machine. Okay, remember the telex machine? Or for us that has spent our time writing letters. Remember, we wrote a letter to our loved ones and we posted it with a stamp. Some of us collected the stamps and so on. So somebody came along and they invented the internet. Nobody knows how this thing in actual fact just started, just literally infiltrated into the world. And the post office went, whoa, completely down. Okay? I think a lot could be said about a lot of stuff throughout the world. Okay? E-books, for example, music. You don't go out to buy a vinyl unless you obviously are a collectible. Okay, you don't go even to buy a tape recorder or a CD player. Okay, because everything is now data. We transfer things with data. Before you used to, if you wanted your friend to listen to a piece of music, you actually have to get in your car, drive through to his place, take your record out, put it on his record player, play the music, put the record back in, take it home again. Okay? If you wanted to write a letter, you'd have to physically write it, put the stamp on, post it. Today, there is no such thing. Today, you send it via data. Okay? So you'll send your letter via email, or you'll send your music via your e-music, whatever the case is. You would send it via data. And so you could do this with pictures, you can do this with books. So you have now an e-book which you can read off the internet. So we're doing away with all these tangible, physical things, and we're replacing it with electronic. Okay? And this is what Satoshi Nakamoto has done. He has made it very easy for us to transfer money anywhere in the world. So you could now transfer money from your wallet to any place in the world, and they can transfer money back into your account, and you can transfer at a fraction, and I'm talking about a fraction of the costs. Okay? And so what does this mean? This means is that as soon as this starts to become a understandable commodity, you're going to start getting more and more people that is going to go onto this platform. Okay? All right. It is regulated by a group of guys that do the regulation of this thing, and there is a thing called Bitcoin mining, which they are not going to go into that because it's completely misunderstood, but it works simply like mining, like gold. So you have gold and silver, which is commodities which they mine. So they also mine Bitcoin. Okay, it's based on the very same principle. All right. The only difference between a Bitcoin and an email is an email, you can get a copy from your email, and so you've got a copy of the email that has been sent off. Okay, and other people can have a copy of that email as well. With Bitcoin, it is like you're putting a sum of money into a locked, with a key, control room, which everybody can see. It's not that you can't see it. Everybody can see it. It's there written for everybody. But it goes out and it stays out. There's no, you don't like put $100 in and $100 in your pocket. It goes out, it's locked, it's gone. In fact, if your wallet is gone, your money is also gone. So you're in control of your own bank, basically. So there's no more bank charges and things like that. And that's what the beauty is. The other thing that is beautiful about the Bitcoin is, despite what the media and everybody else says, it goes up. Whereas everything else, every other currency goes down. Let me give you an example. When I was a child, and it didn't seem so long ago, but believe it or not, my mom used to give me 10 cents, okay, to go and buy some bread. Okay, 10 cents. And I was fortunate to go buy bread and keep the change. So I'd buy the bread and I'd buy myself something to eat, sweets or whatever the case is. Okay. Then, of course, you know, I grew up, got married, got family and so on. And now, when I send my son to the shop to go buy bread, not now, but then, it was like R1. Okay? The only difference is if I gave my son R1, I wouldn't see him for 3 days. Now, I'm only kidding. But he'd take that R1 and try and multiply it and see if he can come home with R5. And that's how he's been all his life. And even up to today, he'll take that money and multiply it. But that's just the way it is. Okay? So, what am I trying to say? Today is, a loaf of bread is like $20 almost. Okay? So, at the end of the day, what's happened with the rand or the dollar it goes down. Okay? It deflates. Okay? Every year by about 2%. Every year deflates. All right? The problem is that when the country runs out of money, all they do is they print more. So they're taking money out of thin air and they're making money, and you and I are going to pay for it through interest. Okay? And so the interest rates will skyrocket, and the rand or the dollar or the yen or the Deutschmark or the pound or the euro will deflate. It will all end up going downhill. Okay? However, the Bitcoin works just on the opposite principle. Okay? 13 years ago, the Bitcoin started off here. Okay? And then it slowly went up and down, slowly went up and down. And then all of a sudden, it just climbed. Okay? And then at this point, there was a massive fraud taking place in Tokyo. Okay? I think if I remember correctly, I think it was $1.5 billion. Fraud, Bitcoin fraud. Okay? And people out of fear went, and this is what happened. Okay? So everybody thought, well, there's no stability in Bitcoin because of that. But then all of a sudden, it just went back up, started going back up, and today it's gone from 50 Rand, the Bitcoin, it's now almost at $1 million. Okay? Okay, you get it? So a Bitcoin was 50 Rand for one Bitcoin. Okay, one Bitcoin. Okay, it's now at, and I'm going to put it underneath here, almost, I'm not, it's not 100% yet at the moment. Let's say 900. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Almost at $1 million. Almost. I say almost at $1 million because it won't be long, it will be $1 million Rand for one Bitcoin. So what does that tell you? That tells you that Bitcoin is going up. Okay. Once people start to understand this and Bitcoin stabilizes, then everybody will then move to Bitcoin. And especially if a bank folds. Because if a bank folds like they did in Cyprus, I believe, then there's chaos. Because we all believed the banks. Okay? By the way, every single thing about investment or about money has got to do with trust. Everything's got to do with trust. Everything. So we trust the bank, we trust the building societies, or we trust the government. We put our trust in them. So we take our hard-earned living and we put it into the bank, hoping that the bank would in actual fact help us out. So what does the bank do with our money? Okay, so if this is you, okay, and you go and put your hard-earned rands into the bank, Okay? So let's assume you gave the bank 1,000 rand. Okay? What does the bank do? Okay? So this is the bank. Alright? So the bank, what the bank does is the bank loans your 1,000 rand out to Joe Soap. Okay? And they get interest from that, and the interest goes back into the bank. Alright, so your 1,000 rand basically was just transferred to this chap, and this chap transferred it back to the bank, and therefore the bank can actually, but if you took all your money out of the bank would be in serious trouble, because the bank doesn't keep money. In fact, the bank keeps only 5%. In reality, the bank would probably give 900 rand of your money, or 950 rand of your money. Okay? And they'll get interest, make a fortune out of that 950 rand. And if you think about it, if you go buy a car through the bank, you're actually buying two cars, one for the bank, one for you. The same could be said about houses. If you buy a house, well, it's not quite two houses, but you get the idea. The interest is crazy. It's ridiculous. It's stupid. Okay? All right. And yet, there is a deflation. That's the crazy thing about it. If a bank falls, we are in serious trouble. And I can tell you that the dollar is in serious trouble. I think it's something like $400 trillion or something, $4 trillion that they're in debt. That's a crazy amount. So, what am I trying to say? I'm trying to tell you is that we are no longer, we are completely changing. Companies are changing. Ideas are changing. Things are changing. So what has this got to do with Crowd One? Crowd One is also changing the industry in a big way. Okay? Besides, when we get paid in euros, it then gets transferred into Bitcoin, and from Bitcoin we can then buy our goods or whatever, or put it into our bank account. Alright, so at the end of the day, that's how Crowd One works. Alright? Again, as I said before, and I will say it again and again and again and again, there are 3 P's that we mustn't actually lose sight of. Okay? People. Okay? Product. Or products. Okay? Equals profit. Okay? We have the people. 27 million people. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to work this out. If a company's got 27 million people, let's say, for example, I've got an airline company, and I know that that company's got 27 million people. I'll go to that company and say, listen, I am now sick and tired of paying for advertising, because advertising is just killing my industry. It's just that expensive. Can I use your business? I will give your 27 million people a discount if they fly with my airplane. So they give the company, let's say 20% or 30%, okay, what they would normally spend on advertising. Now that all of a sudden they've got 27 million people that can hop on a plane at a discount. So you and I win, because we are members of a company that we can go and fly all over the world at a discounted rate. I want you to understand the company that I'm involved in. Okay? Yes, it's a digital company. It is a digital company because we deal with companies that are tangible, but it's also digital. It's like Uber, or it's like Takealot. You know, you go and put your money into Takealot, and Takealot goes and puts that money into a business, and that business sends the product to Takealot, and it goes to your place, and Takealot takes their share. Card One is exactly the same. Okay? More people, more products, more profit. It's as simple as that. It's not complicated. I wish that people would understand how the business works. We all hung up about this and that and pyramid and blah blah blah. We're not thinking. We're not using the brain that God's given us. Anyway, I didn't come prepared for this thing. I should have actually prepared myself. But I just wanted to mention Bitcoin. Basically, I wanted to talk about that because Bitcoin, in fact, is the future. And when you start realizing that there's change and you need to go with the change, but for a lot of you, you still want to write letters and put a stamp on it. Man, I love you guys. I hope that this has helped you a little bit. Anyway, till next time, Chut, Kevin Rich.